Welcome back to the Broker Power Up podcast, the AIME podcast for strategies, stories, and insights to help you close more loans. I'm Tommy Golightly, joined by Jonathon Haddad.
Pleasure.
We have a lot going over. We have a lot to go over today. Much like episode one, we're going to be diving into the broker buzz. So the top discussions in the Brokers Are Best Facebook group. And then we're going to do another sales pitch training where John teaches me some sales skills. And then we're going to wrap things up with story time with John. But John, there's a very important thing that we do before we go into the broker buzz. Fortune cookie.
Can you show the audience your fortune cookies as well, if you don't mind? All right. We have at least 200 to 300 fortune cookies between the two of us. So we are not going to miss out on these fortunes. I am ready to read mine. Well, apparently you have to be incredibly strong to open these.
It's yeah. I mean, it shows a commitment to the podcast, right? How many fortune cookies we got? We're going to be going a while. So you might as well subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
Listen, subscribe to keep hearing your fortune. There's going to be one of these that relates to you. I know it. Why? Because that's how they created them, was to relate to people. So today's no ops. Ooh, this is the one I needed. No obstacles will stand in your way this coming week. All right. Now, lucky numbers 5, 17, 21, 30, 39, and 40. I love this quote. One, it always feels good to read stuff like this. But you know what's fascinating about fortune cookies? It's like you could write this stuff down yourself and give yourself that same inspiration constantly.
Yeah, you could.
And it doesn't feel the same. It's kind of like that's why the fortune cookies are so popular too. I feel like you ever see those videos on YouTube where people go up to random strangers and hand them like thank you notes?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see their reaction. It's so genuine. I feel like that with this. And yeah, look, obstacles are just that. A lot of what we do is mindset related. I think almost all of what you do is mindset related. So coming into each week, like there are obstacles for you, but sometimes you know you have all the tools needed to accomplish your week. And there's some weeks where you go in and you might be missing some tools. Things pop up where you don't have the right wrench. You don't have the right infrastructure in order to accomplish that obstacle. But as each week passes, you learn how to overcome them and you start to really develop into the human being that you are. But that's what I think about when I hear this. What do you think about no obstacles will stand in your way this coming week? What comes to your head?
Immediately came to my head that it is not my fortune and it is your fortune. Because I have an obstacle of being down a hand pretty much.
Oh, no. So, I'm sorry, man. Well,
that's okay.
The tools. You don't have the tools this week for that.
I only have one tool. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think one, you get a cookie with the fortune. So that's an exciting thing. But I don't know. I think just obstacles are something that you can set up for yourself, but also other people will set them up for you. And it tends to be the ones you set up for yourself are the ones that you can get through relatively easy or something that you're used to and accustomed to. And it may be those tools that you're missing are the ones that people are coming to you with obstacles that they don't have the right tools for, so they're coming to you. So you don't have it.
You set up my story for later with what you just because sometimes you're right with obstacles. Sometimes all you got to do is look out to see who wants to help. And you'd be surprised how many people want to help and they might have the right tools that you need for that week. I think a lot about obstacles. I think about engineers. I think about architects, near and dear, right?
Architects, yeah, absolutely.
Engineers, they require a lot of skill set and tools in order to accomplish all the constant obstacles that are thrown their way. When it comes to designing the building, when it comes to the water supply, the electricity, how every single aspect works, whether it's pulling permits from the cities, these people are diving into obstacles on a daily basis. And what's fascinating is when you start to meet some of these human beings that have been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years, it's like nothing is a big deal. They just understand and they get the flow because that's just part of life. And they've learned to overcome those obstacles. So that's what I think with this. Love your thoughts on it as well. But hey, if you have thoughts on what that means for you and just your business and your life, we'd love to hear from you. So put it in the comments. We'd love to take some away.
Cool. Well, let's dive into our first segment this week, the Broker Buzz. What was the Brokers Are Best Facebook group talking about this week? Well, one thing was EPOs and EPDs. Concern from a member who recently had an EPD with an AIME lender partner. Quote, honestly, we are all pushing going the broker route and how it's better, but this kind of stuff makes me think of us brokers are at too much risk. Makes me consider going back to retail and branch managing with zero liability, especially with how much vulnerability we have at all times with loans and have closed for the 8 months prior.
So that's you love getting me into some weird spots with these questions. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, it's gossip. It's the tea.
Well, it is, and I'm going to give you, look, okay, EPOs, EPDs, right, or early payoff, or early payment default. It's one or the other. EPD, EPO, early payoff, early payment default. So basically, if a client doesn't make their first payment, is the example that is being given. Okay, that's what an EPD is. So here's what happens to people listening that might not know what it is. So if we do a loan, a transaction for a consumer is now into the house. Thank God, it all looks good. Well, if they miss their first payment, right, it could trigger what's called an EPD. So we get our money from investors. These investors are the ones giving the money. And then us as brokers are shopping with all these different lenders that could potentially facilitate and close your loan. The investors are the ones that put the guidelines in place, and they have to protect their asset because at the end of the day, they're the ones that could lose. They also have the chance to gain the most reward. I can't tell you how many people think like me as a company makes the money off interest when a loan closes. That's not how it works at all. That is not what I do. I facilitate and help close the transaction. But these lenders out there that are giving us all of this information and that the ones that are helping us close these loans, leveraging their underwriting, their process, their systems, well, they have to deal with some of these consequences called EPDs. And in the event the consumer doesn't make the payment, they get hit a fine. And what's happening is some of the lenders are saying, okay, we already take enough risk on. Why are we also going to take this risk on if a client misses their first payment? So they're saying that as opposed to them having to eat what could be the commission that was earned on the loan. So if the loan paid out commission of $5,000, you could be susceptible to having to pay that $5,000 back is what the lenders are saying. EPOs is very similar in a sense, except the difference is if the loan gets paid off prior to a certain time frame that the lender puts in their agreements. It's generally between 6 and 12 months that you'll see. So for example, Tommy closes on a home and I work with a lender. Let's just say that they have 6 months agreement. Well, if Tommy, let's just say, refinances that home within that 6-month period, well, then the commissions that me as the original loan officer made, I also now have to pay it back because the investors are saying, well, we just paid you for this loan, but now they're refinancing it less than 6 months later. We were supposed to make our money back off interest, but now we can't do that because you're refinancing the client within 6 months. Shame on you, slap on the hand. We're not paying you the commissions. Please give us back our commissions. So what lenders are starting to do is they're starting to pass both the EPD and the EPO to the loan officer. So I tried to explain that as easily as possible. Tommy, let me ask you first. Did you follow along on what I was saying there?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Good. I want to make sure, right? Grasping that side of it. So
it makes sense to me, but is it because the refinance is just then a new loan?
That is correct. So you're legitimately, so when you lock in a loan, we're locking in that day's hedge, that day's pricing, just like the stock market. It's like if you bought, let's just say you bought Tesla stock today. Well, you own Tesla stock today, and therefore whatever you bought in at is what you bought in at. If it goes down, you're losing. If it goes up, you're gaining. But what you don't get to do is if it goes down, you say, no, take backsies, right? Take backsies. I don't want to do that anymore. Give me my money back. And there is a fine line. Number one, it's important that you are telling this to the consumer. I tell the consumers this. I'm very upfront with them about this. Hey, look, it is really important that when we close this loan, if someone reaches out to you or someone tries to refinance your loan, that you get in front of me first. I have certain rules put in place that at the 6-month marker, XYZ can happen. Now, I don't want that to happen, and neither do you. I'm not saying there isn't workarounds because you got to do what's best for you and your family. but please make sure you're calling me first. It can impact me and my small local business. There's nothing wrong with that conversation because it's an honest, truthful. That's really what
Yeah.
happens. So I say that the early default, right, where they're not making the payments on, y'all, that is really touchy. The lender is losing money instantly on that. I know life happens, and I know things can happen to consumers. I'm not saying that doesn't happen either. But missing your first payment once you close your home is a very dangerous territory because you are now in a place to where your likelihood for default increases based on the data and the statistics these investors have. That's why they have these rules that are so strong when it comes to things like the EPOs or the EPDs. So just pay attention to that. A tip that I would recommend to all brokers out there, a lot of lenders do this, by the way. A lot of lenders you work with, on every deal, they basically almost put aside 10% for default. Did you guys know that? Are you putting aside 10% for default? Because the truth is you reap a lot of the rewards, a tremendous amount of the rewards. Yes, there's risk. There's risk to all business, whether you're in the retail side or the broker side. On the broker side, the difference is the reward is just unbelievable. And the amount of good that you can do in the broker side is just unreal. So put aside 10% from every deal that closes, just set it aside, put it into a separate account. And that way, when things do pop up, because it is really rare, you don't deal with a lot of issues, but you're not feeling it as much. The other thing you can do is negotiate with the lender, reach out to them, see if you can negotiate with them. I just don't see this going away anytime soon. The margin for these lenders has decreased. So the money that they're making on each deal has dwindled down over the last 3 years significantly. I'm talking cuts more than 50 to 75% cuts that have happened. So they got to protect their asset too. They don't want to go under, just like you don't want to go under. So have the conversations, put aside 10%, educate your consumers, have a ton of conversations, keep staying focused, and please stay in the broker spot. It is the place to be for your clients every step in the way. Yes, there is risk. Read your agreements too. Last thing I'll say, read all of your agreements with these lenders. If you don't like something in their agreement, redline it, send it back, and see if they'll update it. Some will, some won't, but it's up to you to have those conversations and nobody else. So that's what I got on that. It was a big topic, so I tried to condense it and make it as easy to understand as possible. So I hope I delivered on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's risk in everything, in every business outside of mortgage even. And it's just how you manage it. And I think setting some aside for those rare incursions just makes business sense. So, and then just also it comes down to education, right? Educating the home buyer as to what happens in the first 6 months, what to do, what not to do. But great. Awesome.
It is, man. It is. And especially, you and I, we talked about your house, right? It's like these are the little steps that we have to take as originators to one, protect us and protect our consumers, man. Like it's not, and that's a real conversation you can have. Like if I said, Tommy, hey, listen, there might be people that reach out to you over the next 6 months. I understand if a life event happens, God forbid, you have to sell the house, things happen with your family, you lose a job, God forbid. I get that. But if someone's reaching out to you to refinance or do something, can you do me a favor and make sure you call me first? And the reason why is there's potential risk to me and my organization that the monies that was earned on this loan that I helped facilitate and get you into the dream home, they could ask for me to pay it back if this loan is paid off prior to 6 months. So if you could just do me that favor, just call me, talk to me. If there's something I can help with, maybe we can negotiate with the lender that we closed your loan with. But please, can you do me a favor and just reach out to me? You just help someone get into a house. You think they're going to tell you no? To that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I was told that, I wasn't told that. But if I was, yeah, immediately I would just go to them. Like,
it's happened once to me. Like I've done this for 12 years and it has happened one time. It is what it is. Clients had to sell, had no choice, and I had to pay it. So what are you going to do?
yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to our second question. The next most discussed topic: land loans, the good and the bad. Fill me in, John. What is a land loan?
Yes, a land loan is exactly what it sounds like. So you find a piece of property that is just the land itself. So there's no house on there. There's no RVs. There's no a mobile manufactured home. It's literally just the land. So land loans. So what I want you to think about is, again, everything that we do here on the mortgage side is risk based, risk analysis. There's millions of data points that have been acquired over 100 years of this data being collected. So land loans are risky to investors. So why are they risky? Okay, here's why they're risky. Imagine, God forbid, something happens in your life and you lose a job and things start to go south, God forbid. Well, your primary residence, you're not going to stop paying on, right? You're going to try and make that payment as much as you can because you don't want to get foreclosed or go bankrupt. But if you have just a land loan on the side that's $100,000 and your payment's $600 and you need it, what's the likelihood that you just stop paying on it? It's really high. It's actually absurdly high with the data that we have. That's also why investment properties are higher priced, right? It's higher interest rates, more closing costs on investment because it's more risky for the investors.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and they're saying, well, if you, God forbid, things go south for you, we know you're going to stop paying on this investment property. So that's why investors, they look at things like equity. So if you put more money down in many situations, they'll give you better pricing even on an investment property. And that's because they now have the collateral. So the risk for them is really low. So they're like, okay, even if this person defaults, I have 50% equity in this house. So even if they do, at least I have the chance to recoup my asset and make money. So land loans are super risky from that standpoint because what's the likelihood the client actually starts to do something, starts to build a house? Like, how long does that take? Usually people will sit on land and then build it many years later, whatever the case might be. I'm actually looking at land myself for my family that I want to build on in 5 to 10 years. So the pricing on these loans is difficult to come by because a lot of lenders don't want to take that risk on. There are lenders in the broker space that will do it. But they're going to require 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50% down when it comes to that land loan. You can also look at situations that might make more sense for your consumer. Look at a credit union. Have them reach out to a credit union, one that they might have money with. Ask them to move some money to a credit union. See if that helps them. Credit unions are borrowing their own money, and they're basically leveraging the money of the members that are putting in there to give certain loans like a land loan, which you can see that's more common on that side of things. Now, if you're planning on building on the land, there are way more options to plan on building. So you can buy the land, but at the same time, you're basically putting in a bid to build your house. So you can do actually a standard loan at the exact same time when you're buying the land. That has a lot to do with like construction loans. So there are so many different ways to do it, but it is a risky product, and it's really risky right now in this environment, how volatile it is. You'll start to see a lot of these loans come back as interest rates start to go down because the risk starts to decrease as rates go down. Why? Well, the payments drop. So it's easier, and the rates are just so low, obviously. So land loans, fantastic. They make sense. Just be educated on them, be able to educate your consumers. And if you're a consumer listening, just ask the questions to your mortgage broker. Ask them about all the ins and outs. They're going to know. They'll point you in the right direction every step of the way.
Awesome. Yeah, that answered all the questions I had. So let's move on to our final question for this week. Who has the best training program for an LO to learn about commercial lending?
So I did commercial personally. I did it for a year, moved to California, got my DRE license, did commercial real estate, learned the lending side quite a bit. Commercial lending is very heavily relationship based business. Okay. The reason why there isn't, by the way, it's so archaic you wouldn't believe it. Like they still live in the 60s and 70s with how they do stuff because it just works. It really does. I don't know why it works, but it does. But I did it at a high level, learned a tremendous amount about commercial. And it's all relationship because it's risk based. Some of these deals that come in, a lot of the ones I see in Brokers Are Best are these wild one off deals, right? Like somebody who wants to turn a barn into a church but has never built a church before.
I've seen those.
Yeah, right. And I'm not like saying it to be funny. Like that's great.
No.
Love that wants to do that. But the amount that goes into that, it's like, okay, so now you want to walk into a bank and think about it like this, Tommy. Okay. So I want to go and borrow. Let's just say I want to borrow your computer. You got a gaming computer you and I talked about, okay? Super expensive one. Let's just say I said to you, "Hey Tommy, I've never done this before on the computer, but I'm going to come in here. I want to sit down, play games, and I want to put I like to have my water bottles open. I want 6 of them on top of the counter here. And then I like to eat my fries on the side and still use my keyboard while I do it. What's your brain doing already in your head?
No.
Oh,
cringing, just
to me.
straight cringing.
And I know that because I game a little, right? Like those little
Yeah.
keyboards got to be.
Oh, the fries, the water. I was like, it should be fine with my case. And then you said the fries, and I was like, no.
No, I'm out because
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so just think about it from that perspective. Now imagine you're the investor. So imagine a loan officer's coming to you. Make yourself the investor for a second. And this loan officer says, "Hey, I have a client who wants to do commercial." You say, "Okay." They want to turn a barn into a church. Okay. They have zero experience. Okay. And they can only do 15% down. Okay. You're asking me to give you all this money to do the construction on the home. You want to only put down 15%. You've never done it before. And if this thing fails, you're basically saying, like, whatever, we'll figure it out. So commercial is relationship driven. You have to prove that you can execute and deliver on a consistent basis to these lenders. We have our own connections and relationships at my company that we've built over time to do that. But once you go and you prove yourself to like a banking investor, a specific bank, a credit union, a wholesale lender that might do it, commercial lending, it's easier to start getting that products because you've proved that you're delivering, and the clients you bring in are clients that are paying on time. That's what these people want.
So that's you, the broker, not this person has done it before.
No.
Has this person, if that person had done it before, does that matter at all to the lender?
It can. It makes your likelihood stronger, right, from an approval standpoint, because they can prove that they've done this on countless occasions. But we get a lot of these, especially on the commercial side. You have to build relationships. You're asking for one-off products when you've never done it before. And there's someone out there that she does a wonderful job. Her name, Chris with a K. Everything she'll post with just a K on there.
Oh yeah.
She has crazy relationships where she's done weird loans that I didn't even know you could do, whether it's horse farms, golf course, like whatever it is. So she's done a wonderful job, but she's built these relationships with people. And when I've talked to her people, like they know her, they trust her. She's delivered for them on multiple occasions, but she's building that brand and the trust amongst all these lenders that do commercial. So you got to get out there. You got to network if you really want it for your clients. You can't just go in assuming you're going to get a product when you've never done a commercial loan before.
Makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, commercials segment I never got close to. So no, very little about, but that informed quite a bit actually. And answered a lot of questions about things that I've seen in bad.
I'm trying to give you context here as much.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, you're asking. These are good ones too, by the way. Like these have been up my alley.
Awesome. Well, that does it for the Broker Buzz this week. We're going to run a quick ad, and then we'll be back with some sales pitch training. Stay tuned.
Are you a wholesale mortgage professional? Well, then the very first thing you need is a community to help you and your business grow. With AIME membership, your community is right here. Joining our community means never navigating the market alone or operating without a safety net ever again. We are 16,000 members strong of united wholesale professionals. From rookies to top-ranking originators, all dedicated to supporting each other's success so we can grow together. Beyond entry to the best community in the mortgage industry, AIME membership gives you the resources, tools, guidance, discounts, services, and support that help you and your wholesale business grow, thrive, and most importantly, close more loans. AIME membership connects you with leading wholesale lenders and vendors, offering you exclusive access, services, and discounts that save you more money while helping you make more money. Never get stuck on a loan again with our lender escalation program. Grow your network and skills with the wholesale industry's best conferences and networking events. Get the strategies and skills of top originators and industry innovators with AIME's cutting-edge wholesale mortgage education, resources, and content. AIME offers all of this and more, starting at a low price of $19.99 a month. You heard it here first, couple cups of Starbucks coffee. For you to learn more and get started, all you have to do is visit aimegroup.com AIME group.com/membership. Your community is waiting.
And we're back. All right. Before we get into the sales pitch, John, I just noticed you're wearing a pretty snazzy hoodie.
That I am, my friend.
Where could one get a hoodie like that?
We got the merch store up and running. You're going to see a bunch of this, the Mortgage Morning coffee mugs. The gear is fantastic, and it's really good material. Carhartt hoodie over here that I am rocking today. Nice, snug, feels good, keeping you warm. We're having a little ice storm over here in Michigan. I don't know how you're feeling over there, how cold it is.
We're actually okay. We're okay.
Fantastic. Just me losing my mind today, but this thing keeps you nice and warm. Check out our store, please. You will love the clothing that we are providing. And plus, if you're part of Mortgage Mornings, grab the cups.
Absolutely. Cool. So I got my notebook. I'm ready.
Okay.
What we got?
I'm going to teach you today about a strong introduction.
Okay.
All right. And the power of a strong introduction whenever you're talking to anybody. And, you know, people, every single bit of your movements, your actions, your words have a lot to do with sales. And people will lose sight sometimes of what they think is the simple part, like introduction, for example. So I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to have you try it and showcase to the community how it's done, right? So whenever you're doing a strong introduction we'll use a consumer, but I can do any field with this. Remember, that client is coming in and they don't know anything. They think they do. They've gone onto Google, just like you have, with anything else that you do in life, and they type in, what should I look for when I get a mortgage? What should I be cautious about when I get a mortgage? I do the same thing, y'all. I do it, unfortunately, all the time whenever I get sick, right? And then WebMD pulls up and it tells me I'm dying. And you're just, oh, and then I go to my doctor.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's the same thing with this. So, okay, strong introductions. Whenever you're getting on the phone, the biggest thing you want to understand is you need to get to a place where they know you know what you're doing and that they can trust you within the first 3 minutes on the phone call. And when I say trust, I simply mean, like, I'm not saying they're going to give you their blood, right? I'm not saying any of that. I'm simply saying that you've now earned the chance to have the rest of the phone call. The first 3 minutes are where you earn the remainder of that call. I really believe it. Now, I was in retail for a long time, and 6.5 years, and I worked at a really big company. So what I tell people, the biggest difference between being a broker and being in retail where I was in retail, the first 3 minutes were gifted to me because of the large size of my company at the time. And they were everywhere, the marketing. So the brand was there. So the clients were like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, I know who you guys are. As a broker, you have to earn the first 3 minutes. It's not gifted to you. So the strong introduction goes a little something like this. Number one, right? Your tone and your energy needs to be up, at 'em, and ready to go. People always say, well, John, I'm on the phones. Come on.
So this is phone introduction, not in person.
No, it doesn't matter. Introduction in person doesn't matter. But on the phones, John, we're just on the phones. Smiling, people can feel through the phone. Stop it. People can feel your mood through the phone. Stop it. Stop. Don't tell me that. Don't lie to me. I know I've done this too long. So strong intro. First thing I'm going to do is I want to take control of the conversation. So what I'll do is say something like this. I'll say, Tommy, pleasure to connect. My name's Jonathon Haddad. I've been in the industry now for a little over 12 years. I just want to give you expectations on how this call is going to go today. I'm going to make sure that I don't waste your time and I make this as effective and efficient for you as possible. Does that work?
Going to take 12 minutes?
It'll be less than that, my friend. It'll be very quick. With that being said, Tommy, can you do me a favor? Can you grab me a pen and notepad, please?
Got it.
Perfect. Now, right there, what we're doing is, right, we ask him to grab something. So even if the client, I don't have a pen and paper, no problem at all. Can you open the notes on your phone for me? Oh, okay. Big issue for loan officers, and don't say it's not you. A lot of the times, consumers will forget their loan officer's name. Matter of fact, a study was done that after 1 year, less than 10% of clients remembered the name of their loan officer.
I don't remember mine.
Okay, there you go, right?
3 years.
That was 3 years. There you go. There's an example. So,
I remember my realtor though,
well, that's why.
because she followed up and kept connecting the entire time. Like I still hear from her every once in a while. I haven't heard from my broker since I closed the loan.
Team, he is not doesn't do mortgages. Look, he is a consumer, just like all of your clients. Look what he just said.
I'm gonna go to my realtor.
Look what he just said. And that's real. That happens a lot. That wasn't planned, y'all. That just happened live. So what I do with that pen and paper, legitimately, I take my name and number down. And I'll have him put it on there. All right, if you can just make sure you have this here. My name again is Jonathon Haddad. My mom likes to spell it funny. Jon, no H. So Jonathon at the end. My mom thought she was funny. Haddad, Haddad.
Got it.
And my phone number is 734-377-7986. Now, Tommy, is this the number that I'm calling you on? Is this your cell phone?
It is.
All right, I'm going to shoot you a text with my contact information. Can you verify when you get that, please? Boom, boom, boom. Click.
Got it.
Wonderful. Go ahead and save that.
Okay.
Yes, y'all. I do that on every call. That's how I start my introduction on every single phone call, like clockwork. And I don't skip it. You don't get to skip that with me. Oh, just get to the point. Well, no, we might not be a good fit if you just need me to get to the point. I am paid too well to just get to the point. You tell your doctor to get to the point.
No.
And I believe in this, man. Like, that's why it's not even, I know we're smiling, joking around, but it's not something that's like, it's so deep in me because it's, I go to an attorney's office. I go to a doctor's office. We are compensated very well as originators. So I treat myself with that level of respect on the phone. Now, from there, all right, Tommy, hey, listen, I'm going to get this call knocked out in a timely fashion for you and your family here, but I just want to be on the same page. What I'm going to go over today on this call is your income, property, your assets, and your credit, just to make sure that I get all of the things that I need in order to put the best solution together for you and your family. It is really important because this is your biggest financial asset for most Americans, that I get as much information as I can from you to put you in the best spot. And Tommy, look, I know some of this call is going to be awkward because I'm a stranger over the phone, but rest assured, I've been at this now for over a decade. And I've been doing this since I've been doing this since my 20s. I'm now into my 30s. This is all I know how to do. This is all I live and breathe. My company has over 1,200 5-star Google reviews. Actually, 4.9, not 5 anymore. Would have been fantastic.
Oh, man.
Things happen. We're not perfect. But at the end of the day, we're going to take great care of you and your family. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And honestly, I prefer companies that have 4.9 and not 5.
Me too.
It means that they're doing something. It means that they are legitimate.
Well, and how did you feel as I talked through that conversation?
I did question the amount of times people won't write down your name and number until they get the value. And then do you often have people at the end then ask you again for your name and number?
So that's why what I do is I also text my contact info at the same time, right?
Got it.
The name. So I do all of that together because you are right. What would happen is, okay, got it. And at the end, they're like, oh, can I get your info? So what I started doing is adding that twist. But again, what is that? That is I am the teacher, you're the student. And we've been ingrained in our heads to learn that. I mean, since you were kids, right? Teacher, hey, get your notebooks out. Oh, write this down. Oh, it's the same thing. That's what that's doing, y'all. So if you want to know the psychology behind it, I'm the teacher, you're the student. I need you to know that in the first 2 minutes of this call. I teach, I need you to listen. I'm going to ask questions as I go along. And then I'm managing expectations. I'm going to go through your income, property, your assets, your credit. You're not going to be.
I don't know you. Why would I hand over all this information?
Well, hopefully you get to know me.
Private.
Go into the best spot possible for you and your family. It's important that the lenders that I send your loan to knows everything about you and what you do to make sure that you can make your payments on time and in a timely fashion to make sure that we never default. Now, with that being said, Tommy, is your email address here correct? Tommy@aimgroup.com?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. And then I pivot. You kind of see how I pivot.
Got it.
Okay, so got the context on your end? Number one, intro, who you are, what you do. Number two, grab a pen and paper. Number 3, manage expectations, income, property, assets, your credit. Number 4, just roll right into the conversation. So here, we're going to start here with your income. Tell me, what do you do for work? All right.
Yeah.
Can you do it? Are you ready?
Do you want to do it now?
Are you?
I'm a marketing specialist.
Are you ready?
Buy a house?
No. Yeah, you're ready to buy a house. No, man. And that's the gist of it, right? That's the sales tip. That's the breakdown. That's how it works. But it's the intro is that important, y'all. And it starts with the introduction. And if you don't think it's that important, listen to your phone calls. Go ahead and listen to your calls and listen to your first 5 minutes of a phone call. Just listen. Do you sound professional? Do you feel like you got the person engaged? Do you feel like you're just being a friend to that person? Do you have a good mix of everything in between? Do you feel like they know what to expect from the call? Or are you just an order taker? Are you just giving them rates and information and saying, okay, well, call me back later? Like I've said it before, guess what? They won't. They're not going to call you back later. They might call someone else that is doing all the other stuff that you're not doing on the phone. And that'll be a problem. You know, I tell my LOs to ask this question all the time. I always say to them, look, like I always ask myself this question. Whenever I meet loan officers or talk to somebody that's like, you know who's high level, I always say to myself, okay, would I be nervous if this loan officer called my agent? And if that answer is yes, that means I got to step up. That just means I got to do more. So ask yourself that question. Whenever you're interacting with people that you're like, wow, that person's high level. Would you be nervous if they called your agent? If the answer is yes, apply something that they have into your business. So that is my sales tip.
I did. One thing I want to add to that, because I've been going to a lot more networking events recently. And one thing that really impresses me is when they send the contact info, it's their like on it. I know it's iPhone to iPhone, but I don't know how it works iPhone to Android. But like their entire thing is filled out. Like they have their work number, they have their cell phone number, their email address, a face picture of them. Like not just like a real like a Facebook profile picture, right? Like just something that when I get that, it makes the connection feel more real because they're like, yes, actually reach out to me any way you want.
And that's what's crazy. Like that's literally like everything, right? The email addresses, all my numbers, my company, what I do for that stuff is so important, man. People just don't.
And then it looks professional and it's not just.
That's how I share it so fast on my phone too, because I have it all up to date. Just please, Android or iPhone, go fill your contact card out and make it look pristine and perfect. It's super easy to do it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I learned a lot from that. Let's roll one more ad and then we'll get into story time with John.
If you're an independent mortgage broker, real estate pro, or home ownership advocate looking to connect with like-minded professionals, AIME is here to give back. If you're an independent mortgage broker, real estate pro, or home ownership advocate looking to connect with like-minded professionals, we have the perfect event for you. AIME is proud to bring you Unify, completely covered by AIME directly. Unify is AIME's local networking and education series designed to help you and your community build more referral relationships to grow your business together. Each event offers exclusive content focused on a topic shaping the mortgage industry with brief but powerful presentations from experts who have been in your shoes. Expect high-energy networking with real connections happening with real conversations. Plus, we're raffling off some pretty unique prizes at each and every event. Join the AIME's wholesale mortgage community, real estate professionals, and yes, even retail mortgage professionals. We want you there as well, because we know that we can make a difference in our local communities by connecting and having conversations together. This isn't just another event. This is where community meets opportunity. Whether you're looking for business strategies or the right people to help you level up, Unify delivers. Register today and join us for free in Dallas, Texas on March 25th and Phoenix, Arizona on March 27th, with many more locations to come. Just go to unify.aimgroup.com to get started. Now hurry up, spots are limited. Don't miss your chance to be part of something bigger.
All right, and we're back. So, ready for story time with John? I'm ready.
Yes, sir. This is a story. We're going to talk about a little bit of the architects in our lives. All right. And the architects in your lives are the people that keep you organized, dialed in, locked in, and help you scale and grow your business. Now, if you were like me early on, and still to this day to some extent, but I'm getting much better, is you're probably a type A personality if you're a mortgage broker. Most of us are. And you might think that you don't need anybody, right? I'll do it ourselves. Faster if I do it. Faster if I knock it out. It takes too long. If I use a processor. Don't need an LOA. Don't need this. Don't need that. Me too. I thought that for the longest time. And turns out that as I've started to find all my architects, my life has gotten a lot easier with the architects in my life. So you might be saying, well, John, I'm not writing enough loans to bring on more people. Stop. There's third-party processing companies that you're not putting on your payroll. There's VAs, virtual assistants that you can leverage all across that are compliant. We have them through AIME as well. So do you have architects in your life? If you don't, you're going to put yourself in a weird spot down the road. And I'm going to tell you a story about a Chicago-based investor. We're going to call him the charismatic closer, Ethan. So Ethan, known as the charismatic closer, worked in Chicago's competitive real estate market for a very, very long time. Now, Ethan wasn't just a good salesperson, okay? Ethan was that person. His energy was smooth. He was relentless, an unbelievable closer. Whenever he walked into a room, all the energy was magnified and pushed towards him for one reason or another. There was never a room he entered where he didn't leave with friends. Second people met Ethan, they'd always say like they felt like they knew this guy for his entire life. When they had just met him, he just had that energy about him. Now, this guy, Ethan, just had the charm and could sell anything. And he had a great product, right? Just selling the real estate side of things. And he was unbelievable at making things move in the competitive Chicago real estate environment that so many people were difficult to get themselves into. He was unreal at selling the vision. Just like so many of you are, selling the vision. Now, you see, though, Ethan had a secret weapon that he learned about years into his career. He wasn't always like this, but he finally was able to put himself in this position and have people like this that just made him unbelievable. And he had a secret weapon. And you see, that secret weapon is the invisible machine behind the sales, the architects. You know, most architects you don't really hear about. Some of the famous ones you do, but when you walk into a building, their work is done. You don't know who built that building. You don't know who put it all together. You know none of it. All you know is you're walking into a building, and guess what? You feel safe going floor to floor, going on the elevators. You feel safe going up to the 30th, 40th, 50th, 60th floor in some instances. But you never met the architect. You didn't meet the people that built the building. Just the allure of the building got you there. Just like Ethan did. He is the allure. He is the person that is dialed in. Now, while Ethan was shaking hands, kissing babies, and going all across the place, hosting events and talking to people, his operations group, a team that they called the Architects, that is the name of this team, was in the background making sure every deal went through without a hitch. If there was ever an issue, a situation, or anything that ever popped up, they knew where to go, and it wasn't Ethan. It was the architects behind the scene. He had somebody there by the name of Lisa, transaction coordinator. He had Michael, the marketing strategist, Travis, the finance expert, to make sure every deal was structured properly and perfectly for the consumers. See, Ethan knew that while he was in the face of the business, things needed to operate properly on the back end when he wasn't there. Why? Because he is the charismatic closer. Why do I get passionate about this? Because I was stuck thinking that I could be the architect and the charismatic closer. It turns out I burned myself out and got irritated every single step of the way. Because as I started to scale and grow, things kept piling up, these little tasks, locking a loan, sending out documents. Oh, God, it's getting hard. Oh, I'm getting so tired. Man, these late nights, what's going on? See, that's what Ethan struggled with early on, and then he stopped struggling with it because he built the team around him. Now, one day there was a huge deal. See, Ethan one day was on this yacht, and he was on this yacht with a billionaire and just talking, potentially striking up a deal with this billionaire behind the scenes. Well, while he was on the yacht, unknown to him, there was an $18 million deal on the brink of falling apart. And they were trying to call Ethan, but Ethan was on this yacht, focused, dialed in, being the charismatic closer, the charmer he is, talking to this billionaire and all the friends that were on this yacht. That's not a situation where you can pick up your phone. Unfortunately, that phone's got to stay down. And you've all been there. I've been there too, by the way. You're at an event. You know it's a super important event. That phone goes down for me, and I know it does for you when we're dialed in. Now, Ethan's on that yacht, and there's an $18 million opportunity that's falling through the cracks. Or so people might think. Well, what happened is the architects caught wind of it because they know everything that's going on with every single deal, every step of the way. They're so locked in with Ethan that guess what? That deal didn't skip a beat. And as opposed to a disaster or panic occurring, his entire team jumped on it and smoothed everything over with that deal that was going south. The buyer was getting cold feet. Wasn't sure if it made sense anymore. His team had everything built, and they didn't need to talk to Ethan because Ethan gave him the autonomy and the flexibility and the empowerment to do their job because they're great at it. And by the time he got off that yacht, the deal was handled. Looked at his phone, tons of texts, tons of missed calls. So he calls his team. He calls Lisa, Michael, Travis. What's going on? Nope, we're all good, boss. All handled, my friend. We're moving on. We're getting this thing closed. You got to love you some architects. And if you don't have them in your life, you got to ask yourself why. Our job as originators is to be the charismatic closer, to be that charm, to be that peace, to bring people in, to attract people to us. And I know how hard it is, but you got to let go of thinking you can do it all by yourself. You can't. You can, but only to a certain level. If you want to reach these levels that I know you want to reach, find your architects. And if you need help finding some, let us know here at AIME. We have so many people we can connect you with and put you in the best spot possible. Be the charismatic closer, find your architects, empower them, fill them in, teach them everything, no matter how hard it is. Because I know how difficult it is to sit down and go, oh, I could have just cleared that myself in 2 minutes. I've done it. But you know what goes further? When you sit somebody down on your team that's an architect and you teach them how to clear it. And that extra 30 minutes you had to spend gives you back hours of time and makes you as effective as humanly possible. I need to be more effective as a human being, and I'm going to keep working on it. But for those that don't know, I have twins that are 18 months old. I have a newborn that's 3 months. I'm happily married. I run 2 businesses, my company and AIME. And I know I have to do more. I need more architects. And I'm working on it. I'm working hard on more architects. Because I love what I do. And I need to get as much time back as I can. And so do you. That is my story, my friends. I hope you have a beautiful day.
That hit. That was, I mean, you said it. Like, I struggle with that. I struggle with delegating things because it's like, oh no, that'll just take me 2 seconds. I'll just do this. Oh, I can do that. Oh, I do that weekly. Oh, I can do that. Yeah. I can spend 5 minutes a week. I can spend 15 minutes a week. I can spend 20 minutes a week. Here, there, task 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It adds up.
It adds up so fast, man. And you know, even this, like for those that don't know, even this entire setup, you see the StreamYard and the ads and all of this, I did none of it. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Guess who did it all? One guess. You're going to guess right. Yes, Tommy, you are correct. He did all this. But if I didn't say, like if I was over his head every time, or I want to see every decision you're making, or I want to see every layout, you think he'd be excited to put this together? No. But instead we get on the call and he's ready to show me everything. And he had it all built. He had the layouts, the StreamYard's done, the content's done, the branding strategy behind it's done, the colors are done, the scripting's done, what we're going to talk about's done. And now something that I love doing, I'm enjoying because the architect behind the scene making it happen. So I appreciate y'all. Appreciate you too, brother.
Appreciate you. Cool. Let's run one ad and then we'll do a little outro here.
Fuse is just around the corner, believe it or not, another year down. And we are excited for the largest event of the entire wholesale mortgage industry. Fuse National Conference 2025 is taking its show on the road. Now emanating from Nashville, Tennessee, from October 23rd through the 25th. This event is all about sales, sales, sales. Don't miss the chance to join us in Music City for 3 days full of the most cutting-edge content we've ever produced, featuring the industry's top minds, leaders, and innovators. Access the newest tools and resources from wholesale leading lenders and vendors. Take part in our acclaimed workshop summits for free. Catch wholesale's rising stars in their very own breakout sessions. And of course, take part in the best and, quite frankly, the most fun networking opportunities you'll find in the wholesale channel. Join us to grow your network, your skill set, and your business at what will no doubt be the greatest Fuse conference yet. Go to fuse.aimgroup.com to sign up and receive updates when tickets go on sale. Secure your hotel room and get your Fuse tickets for free. That's a $600 value for the prices as low as $199 when you sign up for an AIME annual membership. Don't miss your chance to be there when wholesale history is made at Fuse 2025. I can't wait to see you there.
All right. Wrapping things up here for episode 2. We got some takeaways to drive home. We got the broker buzz, where we learned about land loans and we learned about EPDs and EPOs and commercial lending. What's the number one takeaway thing people should take from that?
The number one thing just from this whole episode today for me has a lot to do with taking ownership of your business, not making excuses for it. Stop saying you're going to get the help. Stop saying you can do it alone. You want to grow, find the right people. They're there. I promise. You just have to sit down and work through the frustration, because I do it all the time, of having to teach it to somebody else. But the second you teach it and the second they grasp it, my, oh my, the team you build is just epic, my friends, epic.
Yeah. I think we unintentionally weaved a pretty consistent podcast of just owning your stuff, delegating to people you trust, and letting them run with it.
The architects. It started at the start of the call, and that's why I smiled. I said, yeah, falls right in line with my story today.
Yes, it does. So that does it for the podcast this week. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Broker Power Up podcast. If you found today's tips helpful, do us a favor. Hit the like button to let us know you enjoyed it, which helps even more people see this content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe on our podcast platforms. Share this video with a fellow broker who could use a power up. Remember to lead by example, to lift each other up, to grow together, and most importantly, close more loans. Until next time, keep powering up.
Take care, my friends.